Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Ask Alexa Therapy Facebook Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much every weekend for coming and joining us here on Facebook Live. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And thank you for all of your questions. We're getting such incredible questions from you, the viewers, and I'm so excited to be answering them each week here on Facebook Live, but also on the special edition of the Alexa Show, which started last month. So every Sunday, we'll do Facebook Live at 6, and then one episode a month will be Ask Alexa Therapy, the Alexa Show, questions from you, the viewers, and then the other show will be one of our celebrity guests. We just taped a show with one of our beloved celebrity guests. It's going to be so exciting. I'll keep you tuned in when it'll all be coming out. And remember, please send all questions to info@askalexatherapy.com or right here on Facebook Live. Hi, Mary Kate. Thanks for joining us. Hi, MD. Thank you so much, guys. Your questions are just so amazing. And I think it's so incredible to be opening up these type of dialogues. I know these discussions can be tough, but also remember they can be educational and also insightful and inspirational. So thank you again for sharing your stories and your questions. And let's go to our question for tonight. Dear Ask Alexa Therapy, I have been married for over 10 years, and I have two beautiful children whom I love and adore. However, I feel that my marriage is decreasing in passion. Our communication is going down the tubes. We're really not talking that much, and I feel like sometimes when I look at him, I don't know if I'm still in love with him. Is divorce something I should be thinking about? This is really a powerful question, and so many times clients come into my office with these certain concerns. And I think to remember, divorce is a huge, huge step. It's a huge life event. So let's make sure we really think through before making any huge decisions. So I would like to ask you, have you discussed this with your husband? Have you asked him how he feels? I think it's important to open up this discussion so you know exactly what he's thinking about. Is he going to be totally blindsided that you're feeling like this? Or has he been noticing the decrease in communication, intimacy, and the whole substance of the relationship? So one, I would ask him how he's feeling and sit down and have a really open, vulnerable conversation with him. And two, I would also recommend going to a therapist if you're not already for yourself, for individual therapy, but also thinking about couples therapy. So many times when couples come in for therapy, I always ask them, as long as both of you want to be here and work on the marriage, it's fine. If you don't feel that maybe the marriage might not work, or you feel like the problems are too steep for the marriage, that's okay. But as long as you said, okay, I'm going to make this effort and I want to work on this marriage, your marriage has a fighting chance. So that's why I really, really urge and recommend that you sit down and you speak to your husband and ask him what's going on. But also make sure you find your voice and let him know how you are feeling. Because so many times people keep things in their own head. They keep it in their mind and they just keep replaying it over and over again. And then that becomes the reality that you're living in. Meanwhile, you haven't let the other person in this relationship, in this marriage, put their input. So a lot of times we can kind of make some different thoughts or stories or narratives in our head, and then we start believing them because we're not sharing them with anybody else. We're not opening up this discussion. Also, if there's a family member you trust or a friend that you trust, you might want to open up that discussion with them too and tell them, listen, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. And I think also so many times people don't realize a marriage, a relationship is work. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't just sustain itself on its own. I know so many times we see on movies and television how a marriage looks and what it's supposed to look like. And then we look at our own and we're discouraged or we feel like there's something really wrong. No, what we see on TV is not realistic. Couples fight. Couples disagree. Sometimes maybe you don't feel as in love with that person on different days. That's okay and that's normal. That doesn't mean it's the end of the marriage and that you should be thinking about divorce. However, if you've been thinking about this for a long time and your husband is not willing to work on the marriage and you don't feel like you want to work on the marriage, then that's a different discussion. Then I think it's speaking to him also and see, where do we go from here? And also, what are your deal breakers? What is going on that you feel this is just not going to work and cannot be worked on. So I think it's really, really important to sit down with your husband and discuss it with him, but also for you to sit down and discuss it with someone you trust, a therapist, and also discuss how you're feeling, but also journal. Write down your feelings. Write down the pros and the cons. And I know that sounds cliche and people always say to do that, but it's so powerful to see something on paper and to read it. And also go back and read it at different times of the day, different days of the week, months later, so you can see the different ways you're thinking and your thought patterns. Because I think that's so powerful to realize, hey, this is what I was feeling like that day. This is what was going on in my mind. And maybe 2-3 days later, you look at the same situation and you have a different point of view. So I think it's really, really important to keep that self-inventory, that journal, going through what you're feeling, and also find out what themes do you feel keep arising. And so many times when couples come into my office, they'll have different events, and they think it's really that one event that they're fighting about. And what I find, it's usually a theme that manifests in these daily events as someone didn't take out the garbage, someone didn't text me good morning, someone didn't make me my favorite dinner or clean up after themselves. And then that becomes a fight, an ongoing fight, and the person holds that resentment. So I'd ask each couple, each person in the couple, what is the theme that's bothering you? Do you feel, one, that you're not being heard? Do you feel acknowledged? Do you feel loved? Do you feel respected? And if any of these questions are ringing true, I would say then, what would that look like for you? How would you feel if someone heard you? And I think so many times we think it's just obvious that this is what it would be like, but we need to tell the other person, this is what's going on. This is what love means to me. And as you know, sometimes we read all these different books, the 5 languages of love, which I truly believe in. Each person shows their love or expresses their love to others and to themselves in different ways. And we're not mind readers. So I find it's important that we discuss it. And it's not, so many times people say, oh, they should just know. They've known me for so many years. They should just know. People don't know, especially when we're blinded by our own negative narratives, or if someone is feeling hurt or discouraged or disrespected. They don't really have the capacity to look deeper into what that other person is saying. Their guard is up. Their shield is up. So they're seeing everything out of that lens of being hurt. So I would take each one of these different themes that you feel are coming up in your marriage, that are coming up with you, and write them down and bring them into couples therapy. Bring them to your husband and allow him to write down things too, and to be able to sit down and discuss them without any judgment. And I know that's really, really hard to do, and it's very hard not to get emotional and not feel defensive, but this is really the key. We want you to be able to hear what the other person is saying and really say, okay, what is your message? What is your theme? So then you know when they're listening to you, they are really acknowledging you and hearing you. And hearing someone and being heard is so powerful. It is so empowering. So I find it's really important that you make sure you're being heard by your significant other, but also that you are hearing your significant other and saying, is this what you want me to hear? So again, thank you for writing in this question. If you have any more questions, again, please send it to info@askalexatherapy.com or right here on our Facebook Live. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I think it's just so powerful that each Sunday we meet together here and have this time to really talk about what's going on and to know that you're not alone. People in marriages, people in relationships, they're not perfect. But that doesn't mean there's something wrong with your relationship. I feel any relationship is workable. Any relationship can make it as long as both parties are willing to work on it and are willing to heal, grow, and move forward. So again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in again. Please check out the Alexa Show on YouTube at Ask Alexa Therapy. Please also check out my website, AskAlexaTherapy.com. Send in any questions or anything like that to info@AskAlexaTherapy.com. Everybody, have a great night. Always make sure you're finding your peace within the chaos. Have a good night, and God bless.